another week of the Academy of Shem and Aver, and we are in an off week due to the Passover holiday. We're starting to record, and this is going to be a review, half teaching, half question answer, whatever we make of it for the next hour. That's what it's going to be. So we're on the microphone. Anybody that has any questions, review points, anything to discuss, here is your option. And we're probably not going to get this option until Rosh Hashanah time, because that's the next holiday season. So here's your chance to bring back your end vocally. So for recording purposes, I wouldn't speak, because Ray told me that it'll mess up the recording with the vocal. So whatever you have to say, type, and then I'll vocalize it in the recording, and we can talk about it. I do have a teaching I can talk about. I made a radio broadcast on it earlier. We'll leave it in. So who has the first thing to talk about? Questions, comments, feedback, review work. Let's hear it. Anybody? Even just a conversation starter, just to get the ball rolling. Linda, you got anything for me? Now I hear you. Am I echoing?
Yeah, you were like harmonic for going out and then coming back in.
I wonder if my new microphone's messing up with my other microphone. How am I now?
Sounds good now.
Maybe it was just the internet. I don't know. Okay, we got some things here. 1 second. Let me see. Tell me, type on the screen if I'm echoing. Okay. So how far into? Wait, is it recording now? You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, our first question, Mona Bat Eva, how far into the Seder do we, as Noahides, do we go? I don't know. My recording. Somebody asked me this week if Noahides can go to a Passover Seder, and if somebody told her no. And hold on 1 second. Okay. Sorry about that. We got the Yuval Mevubal playing. Now, somebody asked me if they can go to a Seder, and I found sources on the internet that says yes. I never saw anything that said no. Noahide friends of mine said yes. Halakhically, I honestly don't know if there's any restrictions or whatever. So I don't know. Halakhically, I don't know. Okay. Is what we are teaching taught in mainstream Judaic studies? It's not against mainstream studies. It is mainstream. The only hitch is that it's not commonly taught. Not due to authenticity, but out of audience and relevancy. To go into Shem, into the Torah world, most people don't. Because as Jews, there's really not an audience. It's very specific to teach about Shem. So for the Noahide, it's very relevant. So yes, it's mainstream, but no, it's not common. Another example of this would be Tanakh. Right? Tanakh is, obviously we know, it's the Torah, so it's 100% mainstream. Yet not a lot of yeshiva circles teach Tanakh. The Talmud is the learning du jour. So yes, it's mainstream, but at the same time, it's not common, and common doesn't take away from its mainstreamness. And again, it's only because of the relevancy in the audience. The Jewish camp, has its own kind of direction in what it teaches, and the Noahide direction is for the Noahide, and they're both, the Jewish side can learn from the Noahide from the Jewish, but as a central theme of what to teach, there's different directions, and that's not to say that the Jewish direction is even correct. There's a lot of debate what goes on in the yeshiva circles. For example, Tanakh. The fact that Tanakh is not learned. I was in a Daf Yomi class years ago, which is the daily page of Talmudic study, and somebody said, why don't we learn more Tanakh? And the rabbi in charge, very straight, one-dimensional Lithuanian background, he said, I don't know. We just don't. He says, why don't you be the first one to do it? So there's always avenues of being a pioneer in Torah. The Vilna Gaon says any area where there's lacking in Torah, that you should be your expertise, because that's what when you make it your expertise, you'll spread Torah and you'll be successful. So if at any time there's a direction in Torah that no one's doing it, that's not a contradiction of mainstream. The Vilna Gaon says go for it, take it up, and do it, and you'll spread Torah that's not generally being spread. So I hope that answers your question, Lynn. If it's not, go ahead and type something back at me, and I'll answer it again. Okay. Terry Feeney, how common is the viewpoint expressed by Masora.org? Very timely for your question. I just got done researching myself before class tonight, Masora.org. It is not common at all. I don't want to speak Lashon Hara, slander against anybody, but I'll just say you can research it out, do a search for the rabbis involved, but the viewpoint expressed that there is no spirituality in the world beyond the five senses is not even a minority opinion. It's an irrelevant opinion. And the viewpoint expressed is very, very radical. Okay. Okay, am I still echoing?
It goes in and out.
So yeah, maybe the two. Okay, so you know what? Let me try to put the microphone over here. 1 second. How's that? Is that better?
So far.
Okay, I got this brand new powerful microphone, so it could be that it's stealing from the other microphone. Let me just put this here. So far, so good?
So far.
Okay. Okay, we'll try that. Okay, any other questions, feedback, discussion points? Review work from the previous weeks. Anything to go over?
Rabbi, as soon as you came closer to your computer, you started echoing again.
What's that?
As soon as wherever you went with your other mic,
Yeah.
you sounded fine. Now that you've come back from where you were, you're echoing again.
I'm echoing now?
Not right this minute. As soon as I go off, it seems like it's echoed.
Alright, let me try to turn this off. Okay, how about now? How about now?
It seems okay now.
Okay, I unplugged the big microphone, and now I'm on my handheld device, my regular setup. Is this back to normal?
That's back to normal, yes.
Ah, man, so this is good that we had this week off. I gotta figure out what to do with this new guy. It's a big, powerful microphone I got for recording my radio broadcasts. Wow, so maybe I shouldn't use it for classes. Okay. Okay.
It sounds much better.
Yeah, it was probably there. I guess there's a competition between the two microphones. Okay. Here we go. Kyle, what is the significance of Aver? We always hear about Shem and Aver. What was their relationship? Relationship of Shem and Aver. Aver is the grandson of Shem, and Aver comes from, we get the word Hebrew, Ivrit, from Aver. So, there's basically, as we talked about at the very beginning of our classes, 22, 23 weeks ago, that there were at least, how many was it? 7 different academies of Shem and Aver in the world. So Shem had his house of study, at least let's say 1, relatively, and Aver had his own also. And there were different styles of learning that people would do at Shem and Aver's various academies. Lynn, is immersion in a natural hot spring for overall purification purposes allowed for Noahides? I believe so. We talked about this in regards to Jethro. In Jethro, he brought down 4 things: the name issue, sacrifices, mikvah, ritual bath, and circumcision. So it would seem from the learning of Jethro that it is a positive action that a Noahide can take upon himself to do a ritual bath. The actual, let's call it spiritual science, might be different for what's going on, but I would say the way I understand it, and my understanding might evolve deeper based on further research, but it seems like that to go into the ritual bath is an emanation of holiness, because it surrounds the body. In Hebrew, this is called makif, a surrounding. And I think that by being totally having surrounded oneself in holiness, it extends to emanating holiness in one's daily life. And I think that's the basic premise for Noahide and Jew to what a ritual bath does on some respect. For purification issues, I mean, even men and women have different issues of purification. Everybody has different issues with purification. There's in Torah, there's many different types of purification. It's a very broad, vast topic, but I think the overall lowest common denominator is to emanate and cling to holiness. And I think that's what is appropriate for both Jew and Noahide. Alright, so I assume the echoing is now stopped completely?
As far as I can tell.
Alright, so, like I said, I'm glad we figured that out this week and not another week. Alright, so, we rectified that situation.
It just started again.
Aye, really? So,
yeah.
So maybe it's just the internet connection I'm having. Oh, wait. I know why. I know why. I totally know why. I was doing a virus scan, and I forgot to stop it. Here, I bet you now. 1 second. How's that?
It sounds good again.
I bet you that was why. I was running the virus scan in the background, and I totally forgot to turn it off. Okay, this is definitely the holiday vacation. Echoing, kids, DVDs, virus scans, double microphones, any other problems we can anticipate? Okay, any other questions? Anything to discuss? Review issue? Clarification on any point? Linda, did you ever get to the bottom of the wells that we were researching way back?
No, I've been busy taking care of several. My mother was in surgery last a couple weeks. I've been taking care of her, and then in February I was taking care of my sister-in-law who had surgery. So I've been a little busy.
Yeah, the basic idea that we talked about with the wells was that there's a future reality trickles down through the time scale, and the digging of the well makes an acquisition of the flow that makes it a real concept. So the Ramban says that the wells of Isaac were like future temples of Israel. So the concept that exists in the future trickles backwards, and when Isaac dug the well, he basically established the root that would then spring back forward into the future, making it a reality. Bat Eva, what do you mean? What about Eva? Diversionary tactics to stop Torah, to stop study. What do you mean?
All of the stuff that had us go echoing.
Yeah. Well, I just kind of felt that this was going to be the week for that. There's no way it wasn't going to, with being the kids out of school and the holiday. All things equal, I took the week off because it was just going to be one of those weeks, and I was right. I didn't want to fight it because I knew the kids weren't going to be tired enough, and they've been out of school now for a week, and we have one more week off. But I assure you, next Sunday they are going to be absolutely exhausted in their first day back, and I'll have had the whole day to have prepared some brand new material. We kind of came to a natural close, you know. We've been talking about Shem and Aver, then Jethro, so I'm hoping that after the Passover holiday and everything back to normal on Sunday, we're going to be really novel and back into some new stuff. Yeah. This is Rabbi Katz, uncut. Uncut, off the page, live, and human. So there is something...
Okay, so if we're on the well thing again...
Yeah.
Another thing that just popped in my mind now, when Eliezer went to get Rivka...
Wait a minute, Linda. Can you type it? Because Ray wanted that anyone that has a question, they could type it, because the recording it makes it really bad, the recording. Is it okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Just sorry about that.
It'll take me a little bit to type it.
All right, go ahead. For the person that just sent me a question, should I publicize it vocally or type it? It was sent privately, but I don't know if that meant to not say it out loud or to say it out loud. Okay, I'll say it out loud. Can I express? I have to express the question, just so you know. Should a Noahide be or stay married to a Christian? Wow, tough question. It goes into many other areas as well. Let's just use Judaism for an example. A person it's an Orthodox Jew. He repents, let's say at the age of 45, and he got married at, let's say, 20 to a girl that was not religious at all, and she does not want to become religious by any means, and he wants to become an Orthodox Hasidic rabbi. Is that grounds for a divorce? The first, like I said, to answer from my comfort zone of Judaism, we'll work into Noahide, which same thing in terms of the question. So let's just work one frame to the other. It's going to be a very strained relationship because he's going to be doing things that are one way and she's not going to. But on the other hand, what if they love each other? You know, just because you find a relationship to God that's, let's say, more intimate than somebody else, that doesn't mean you stop loving everybody else in the world that doesn't have the same views as you. So he doesn't have a mitzvah or an obligation to divorce. It's just with the knowledge, it's going to be very strained, and it very well may end in divorce, because it's just very hard to have a relationship under those terms. So now Noahide and with a Christian, I would say it's the same thing. You're going to have a lot of clashes. One person believes in one thing, and the other person believes in another. But if they can both handle the fire and they love each other, why not? It's hard. I don't think the Torah says that every time there's a divorce, how's this go? That there's Hashem cries on the altar above. I forget what it is. It's a Talmud somewhere. Divorce is not looked at as something to wish for. If it's it's touchy-feely, because if they appreciate each other as people, then obviously we would say hopefully the truth would prevail. That the Christian would see the truth to the Noahide. But if it's going to be a battle and destroy one's faith, I think divorce would kind of be inevitable by itself. I believe that if you get married, you should be able to work it out by theory. But that's from the one person's perspective. So if it's not going to work out, I think both people would know that it's not working. So to be together for the sake of being together, that's one thing. What do you mean if both are willing? What question is that going on to? It's a hard one. I don't know. Divorce is not something that you just treat lightly. Divorce in the Torah is very serious. Yeah, I would say work it out. Working it out, the Christian's view might be evolved after time. Yet maybe, I don't know, it's very hard. It's a philosophical point of view, a personal point of view. I would try to my personal opinion is that I would try to work it out and try to work on a love between two people. When Eliezer went to get Rebekah at the well, I learned that the water raised to meet her. Where was this well located? Good question. Let me think for a minute. Rebecca. It was wait a minute. What it was in Syria or in Aram. It was in Aram because Rebecca was with Lavan, and Lavan was the Aramean, which is interesting. You say that because there was an academy of Shem and Aver there. So maybe this was an academy of Shem and Aver. Could be. Very well could be. Well, Aram. I think Aram is northern Syria, if I'm not mistaken. We did a class on this. Linda, you might not have been there for that, when we were talking about the academies of Shem and Aver, and Aram is where one of the academies was. And that's why when Jacob went there, Jacob was learning in that academy, basically. So it could be it was there, actually. The two become one, so they should be studying together. That's in regards to the marriage. Do these academies still exist? And they should address Mona's two questions. First, the marriage. The two become one, so they should be studying together. That would be ideal. That's the ideal, that they should be studying together. But obviously there are challenges in life. And one of the challenges then would be to exist with different faiths. I would just hope that they can work it out. That's the best solution, and I just hope you can work it out. I know in my training over the last 15 years, I've had talks with people in other faiths, And basically there's two results. Either you're speaking with an open-minded person and you both want to learn purely, and some people want to argue and fight to the death. If the relationship of study is in the name of truth, which I've found people are able to speak truth, even in other religions. Doesn't mean they're right, and ultimately in the sense, doesn't mean that I'm perfect in my knowledge of Torah and Judaism either. But I think if two like minds come together, you can find elements of truth. So if it's not going to be World War III over everything, then yeah, I would hope that they could study together, and then eventually the truth would emerge, and that would be the knowledge of Hashem. Do these academies still exist? Okay, the way I understand this is that the academies exist in what's called achar ba'achar, back to back. And our job is to make it panim b'panim, face to face. So when there's Adam Arishon, Adam, the Adam of the story of Genesis, he established where in the world there would be academies of learning. Remember this? We talked about this many weeks ago. And then Shem and Aver have their specific academies. So there's at least 7 academies than those that fill the entire world. And the idea is that it's like the wells that Linda that you brought up. In the academies are like wells. They're realities in the past that are spawned from the future. So the academies are, let's call it like a hotspot of Shefa, and Shefa in Hebrew is like a divine influx of spiritual energy. And so Shem and Aver, they had spots, some more in particular, like Jerusalem, Tzfat, Aram. There were like the 7 specific spots. But Adam had decreed all over the world that there was even more. So what happens is, when we don't have the knowledge of that we're giving over Torah, so the influence of these academies of Shem and Aver into the Torah, and the Torah into those academies as a functioning relationship, then it becomes concealed and enclosed in derech eretz, in the ways of the world, and the influences are often unnoticed. And they're garmented within vessels of this world, daily things. When Noahides and Jews influence each other face to face, i.e. with knowledge that it's Torah and that it's the knowledge of God, then the academy aspect can become somewhat revealed. And it's no longer concealed. So they exist. But the revelation of that existence takes place with an intention that both parties are revealing the nature of Torah. And then what we'll find is that the logical conclusion is that this spot that the Torah is being glorified upon would possibly be an academy of either Shem and Aver, or even going back to Adam. Because Adam decreed where these spots were in the world. So one must assume that if there is Torah being spread at any spot in the world, that there must be a reason for it. And I think that this would be that reason. The giving and sharing of the truth should set our souls free. Spoken aloud, the Torah... Explain? The giving and sharing of the truth should set our souls free. Spoken aloud. What is it? The Torah will not go void. Understood. One second. Can you explain that a little bit? Yeah, exactly. Yes, perfect. Mona, perfect. Yes. That, I feel, is, to me, that's the highest, not the highest, I don't know when I say the highest. To me, that is an outstanding revelation. Yeah. I agree. Again, the question, the giving and sharing of the truth should set our souls free. Spoken aloud, the Torah will not go void. I think that for when the Noahide like you said, vocalizes the Torah when it's face to face and not just back to back. But when the Noahide has intention that he's within the Torah, giving it over out loud, I think you said it perfect. That should set our souls free. I think it does. I know that when I speak Torah with the Noahide, my soul is set free. Because when I study to prepare for these lessons, I feel set free. Just to have to prepare myself in the Torah for the Noahide to hear what I have to say. For me, I'm finding Torah that I never find. And remember, whoever it was that asked if it was mainstream. Again, it is mainstream. It's just not common. It's a totally different style of learning. And for me, that style of learning that we're doing, to me, that sets me free. And I can't speak for the Noahides, but I would assume, Mona, that from what you're saying, that yes, it is. It's a soul freeing experience, and I feel it, and I can only hope that you guys feel it too. That when we come together and share and speak Torah, that it is a freedom issue. So when we study with others in the realm of marriage or whatever, I can attest to that. Yeah, I think it is a soul freeing event. But some people don't want to be set free. And that goes back to that Masora.org. Some people refuse or don't have I shouldn't say refuse. Yeah, the Vilna Gaon, a rabbi in the year 1700, said it's a matter of merit. And I think it comes down to merit, ultimately. Noahides and Jews alike can say, why me? Why do I know? Why am I blessed to know God? And I think the answer is merit. Some people have the merit to learn God's wisdom, and some people don't. And what makes a person have merit? That's up to God. There's different levels of creation, and those that are on a particular level of creation, they have the merit to fit that level, and some people don't. And it has nothing. When I say level, it's not Noahide and Jew. It's people. Whoever has their sole rank of merit to learn certain things, they learn. If they don't, they don't. It's part of the spirituality that descends to this world. And if we have the merit to learn these matters of Torah, we should just basically thank God. And you can't force somebody else to have merit, but you can speak the truth and pray that they have the merit to internalize the truth as it's being spoken. Because people that without the merit, they have the ability to deny the truth because of a lack of merit. So as we study on our own, when we vocalize the Torah, that can also happen deep within ourselves. As we study on our own, when we vocalize the Torah, that can also happen. Yeah, if you're Armon, are you saying that happens to you? Does that happen to you when you study on your own? Terry and Lori, some seem not able to leave the trap within the mind. Again, yeah, and that seems to be a merit issue, to not leave the trap within the mind. There's an ability to reject and deny the truth, or to not have a merit to the truth. It's just part of reality. Thinking outside, are there any known academy sites in North America? Yes and no. Shem and Aver, no. But from the time of Adam, wherever there's not an academy of Shem and Aver, Adam, when he basically founded the world from the Garden of Eden, he established where there would be institutions of learning over the whole world. So wherever Adam, I would assume Adam sprinkled learning all over the world. Only when we go through time and extract from every corner of the world, as the meaning of the exile of the Jewish people has been to gather what's called the sparks of holiness from all over the world. And when the Jews go all over the world with the Torah and they interact with Noahides, which has been back to back, but all over the world, the goal is to work with the Noahides face to face. And when the two come together, then the revelation of Torah comes out. The souls are set free. The sparks are returned to holiness. And the academies are found all over the world. So again, that's part of the Jewish exile, is to wander the world and to restore order to holiness. So when I assume that it's obvious that North America, yes, there are academies because there's a lot of Noahides in America. So the presumed status would be that Adam had decreed that there were academies there. So, and there's a strong Jewish presence in North America, so there must be elements of Torah there. Thus, when the two get together, the Torah is glorified basically between the Noahide and the Jew. That's how I would understand it. And it'll be, when it's done with intention, it's called the level of face to face. And then I think you can get a direct revelation that there is something divine of the nature of an academy present within the Torah discussion. And again, if it's not intentional, then it becomes back to back, and it's garmented within vessels of this world that become an influence on the Torah. The Torah influences the place, but it goes unknown. Mona, again, thinking outside the box is not encouraged in the Western world. Yes, it does seem to happen to me. Well, if it happens to you, then we have to go with it. I think it's true too, but I can't speak for anybody. But I think when there's a concept actually, Mona. When the oral Torah is written and when the written Torah is spoken, that's when the Torah becomes infinite. So you're talking about speaking the written Torah. That to me is the highest expression of the written Torah. Kyle, is there a Torah portion this week? In America, I think the answer is no. In Israel, I think the answer is yes. Because in America, it's a 2-day holiday at the end of Passover, which falls on Shabbat. Okay, any other questions, comments, or feedback? Review work. If there's not, I do have a teaching to give over for the next 20 minutes if you guys are interested. So if that's all for the questions, we can do this teaching. Let's get a response. Anybody? Okay. All right, let's go. Okay, I gave a radio broadcast tonight, my night, which is now my morning. I just want to share it. It's deep. Don't try to exhaust it. It's almost impossible. But I find it to be one of the most beautiful passages that I've learned. So here we go. It's very complicated. I'm like barely holding on with all my might to understand this. It's fascinating, but I think we can all get the direction of where it's going. There's a rabbi named the Ramchal from the year, also the time of the Vilna Gaon, 1700. He was an influence to the rabbi, the Vilna Gaon. And he says that Shem, under the term Malki Tzedek. Hey, before I start, I want to plug in my other microphone and tell me if I'm echoing. This will be a guinea pig for next week. So 1 second. Okay. Am I echoing? Go ahead and tell me. Am I echoing? I plugged in the other microphone.
No, not yet.
Hey, Terry, I am. Okay. All right. So if I echo, type on the screen and tell me. This is going to be our trial and error because I really want to use this microphone because it's good for recording. So, no echoing so far. Okay. Great. So it must have been the antivirus that was running. Okay. So the Ramchal says that Shem Malki Tzedek was on the level of wisdom, or in Hebrew, Chachma. And there's a basic premise, which is an answer to the Masorah.org question about spirituality, is that how can you explain a belief? And the answer is you can't. Because a belief is the word in Hebrew emunah, or faith, which also doubles as truth. So when there is the concept of faith or emunah or truth, it comes from the level of wisdom where there are no vessels to understand the wisdom. That the vessels, the letters, the words, speaking, communication comes from bina, understanding, which is below wisdom. That wisdom cannot be conveyed with a definition. Definition, by definition, is understanding bina, not wisdom. Meaning it would take forever to convey matters of wisdom. That's why the Torah is infinite. You can't say Torah is this or the Torah is that. It's an infinite pursuit of wisdom. Thus, there is no rational satiation of words to define a belief in Torah. This is why that they say every letter of Torah can be spoken of infinitely. Thus, when a person from like Masora.org suggests that if you cannot explain your belief, it's not a valid belief, that's not valid. Because by nature, you cannot put boundary and limitation on belief. Okay. So Shem is coming from this level of wisdom when he is Malki Tzedek. And this is why the Ramchal, Reuven, Ken, Avodah. So Shem Malki Tzedek. Hold on, 1 second. Okay, so Shem is wisdom, Malki Tzedek is wisdom, and wisdom is likened to the anointing oil. And the anointing oil never runs out. It never runs out. That's why it's likened to wisdom. So Malki Tzedek is the anointment of Mashiach, and Mashiach literally means the anointed. Thus, it's the wisdom of Shem that is the anointment of the anointed. That's what the Ramchal says. Okay. Now that we understand that, let's look at the word ozen, which is Hebrew for ear. Aleph, Zayin, Nun. The Aleph is the shape of the ear, the letter Aleph, and they said in the book the Bahir, which is one of the original works of Kabbalah, the Aleph is the shape of the ear, and the nature of Aleph is that it contains everything. It's the Aleph of I am Hashem, your God, Anochi Hashem Lekecha, at the Ten Commandments. It's the hidden Aleph before the letter Beis of Bereshis, in the beginning of Genesis. That anyone that's seen the letter Beis in Hebrew, and I'll type it for you now, that's the letter Beis. If you notice in the bottom right, there's a tail, and that tail is pointing back to the right. That is the allusion to the letter Aleph that comes before the letter Beis, which begins the alphabet. Thus, all 22 letters spawn from the Aleph. And there's a lot of reasons why. Oh, you can't see it? So look up, do a search on Google, Hebrew letter B-E-I-T, Beit, and you'll see a picture of it. Okay, now, so they say that the ear cannot be satiated with words or anything. Yes, the question is, Beis like a house? And the answer is yes. The letter Beis is depicted by a house, which is bayit in Hebrew. Okay, so the ear has no satiation, meaning there's no amount of wisdom that goes into the ear, and then the ear says, that's enough. Because if that were true, you could hear Torah for, let's say, a day, and you'd say, wow, good book, I understand. No, the Torah has no limits to its wisdom. Thus, the ear has no satiation to wisdom. You can never get enough Torah. That's for the whole entire creation of the world. A blade of grass has no limit to the Torah from its perspective. The world is filled with wisdom, and there's no satiation to wisdom. And again, the ear is depicted by the letter Aleph, and the Aleph is that unlimited wisdom. And remind you, wisdom is already unlimited, but it's not God. So God is even greater than wisdom. God is greater than the highest emanation of creation, Keter or crown. That's how great God is. So in our finite world, we have infinite or Ein Sof, unlimited possibilities that we can relate to, that allows us to really perceive that which is not bound by definition or boundary. Now we know God is not bound by definition and boundary. Thus, through our wisdom, we can begin to perceive the divine. But to put a definition on wisdom basically is to lock God out of our lives. Because you can say God is beyond, we're within, and therefore we'll define wisdom, but then we have no connection to God. But if we connect to wisdom beyond words and garments of understanding, and connect to wisdom without boundary, and to connect to that which is beyond perception, but yet we can connect to the wisdom in an infinite trek, then we can begin to fathom and connect to the divine. And the word is begin. Because if we can only begin to connect to wisdom, all the more so we can only begin to connect to God. We can never say, I found God in totality, or I understand or know the nature of God. But you can begin that. And again, there's another beginning with the ways of wisdom. We can begin to understand God. And what does the Torah say? Bereshis, in the beginning. What is Bereshis? With Reshis, with beginningness. And what does King Solomon say? Reshis, the beginning of wisdom. It's called Reshis Chochmah, the beginning of wisdom. And fear of God, or the awe of God, is the beginning of wisdom. And that awe is to perceive the truth with faith beyond definition or boundary or with vessels. That's wisdom. So that's what the olive comes to represent. Okay. Is that the same with the other attributes as well? They are all infinite, really right. The 10 attributes of the Sfirot, I assume that's what you're talking about. Yes, they're all infinite because they derive from the world of Atzilus. Okay? They derive from Atzilus. And in Atzilus is the level of wisdom. Atzilus is wisdom. Bria, the next next world below, is understanding. Yetzirah is the next level of the 6 character traits, called Zeranpin. And Asiya, doing our world, is revelation. So yes, the 10 attributes are the level of wisdom without end. And this level is called Erech Anpin. Just so you know, the level of crown that invades all 10 emanations is the wisdom to know without end each emanation. Okay. Now, the ba here then goes on. The ear has no satiation, which is a symbol of righteousness for the righteousness. He should be a zecher tzaddik lebracha. Remember the righteous as a blessing because there's no end to his wisdom. Thus, when we speak the praises of the righteous, he'll never rot because he's constantly being praised. There's no satiation. The wicked, he rots because you can easily praise him with, say, 1 or 2 words, which means he has no wisdom. There's boundary, there's definition. So his body rots. And this is the concept of a name. That the name is the garment of the body, which is the garment to the soul. So the body is the garment, and it has wisdom, and the name has the wisdom of the body. So emanating out of the soul is the wisdom, and if one has the merit that his body should act out the wisdom of the soul, i.e. righteousness, then he does not rot, and he's remembered for the blessing. And then, if he has the merit of the wisdom of his being, then his name begins to express the wisdom without end. In the Russia, the evil one, it's the opposite. His soul is not that pure and holy. The wisdom, he seeks to limit and diminish his wisdom. His body therefore rots. He's not doing wise actions, and his name rots along with his being. And again, this is for any distinction, not just for Noahide Jew. It's for basically the Torah that says a Noahide that learns the Torah is on the level of a high priest. So that's where we're coming from. All people that are involved in Torah have this opportunity of merit. You can be the highest, whatever, the lowest, whatever. But in all, if you actions of holiness and righteousness, the same result is that the wisdom should come out of your soul. And again, that's for Noahide and Jew alike. And it goes into the body or being, which is garmented by the name. Then the final level of the Bahir, the book of Kabbalah, suggests that the wisdom of the word ozen, which is the word for ear, Aleph, Zayin, Nun, is a wisdom itself. Thus, the word for ear is wisdom. The Aleph, the Zayin, and the Nun together is a wellspring of infinite wisdom. When you get into the gematria and the numerical values, the hints, all the Torah can come into the ear. And then the Bahir says all parts of the body, really, if you investigate the words that depict the body, the garment of the limb, then it also has infinite levels of wisdom. Then we say the body in general has infinite levels of wisdom. Thus, when the soul gives off its influence to the body, and the wisdom comes out, we begin to act holy, we begin to do holy things, study the Word of God. All of a sudden, we become emanation of holiness and of wisdom. By those means, we become an expression of wisdom. Then, the name, which is the garment of the body, becomes wise. Thus, the name that you go by, your identification, becomes a vessel and influence of wisdom, which has no satiation. Thus, you can begin to speak truth. And ultimately, we say, since wisdom... Okay. The kids are fun. They're watching TV. Okay, so now that the name comes as a garment to the body, the name then has that level of wisdom emanating from the soul, which is based on the merit of the soul to realize and give over its wisdom. So then we say, what did the Ramchal mean by Shem? Shem, whose name means name. Shem, the son of Noah, is the embodiment of wisdom. We learn this by what's called a hekish, a comparison of concept. If a name has infinite levels of wisdom without satiation, Shem has infinite levels of wisdom without satiation. Thus, we find the words of the Ramchal true, that Shem is the archetype of wisdom. This is why the Torah of Shem and Aver was not written down. There are no vessels that can contain, this is the Torah of Shem and Aver. So why is our Torah written down of today? Because it's not the Torah of Moses or Shem, it's the Torah of God. And the greatest level of God is that wisdom is called ayin, to be nothing. It's so great it's not perceived, therefore it's called nothing. That Hashem is called the ultimate yesh, the ultimate something. That this is called the tzimtzum, constriction. That Hashem, in His infinite being, can give something of creation in the world. And this is the greatest miracle of God. That God fills the entire world, and He yet is found nowhere. Yet we have a creation to live by, a Torah to learn. We don't perceive it with the five senses, yet God in creation exists. And the Torah was prophetically given to Moses, which is a miracle that God can constrict His infinite being into text that we can then learn for all of time of creation to connect to God. Shem, therefore, is a lower level, obviously. He's inside creation, not even crown or ket to the highest level, but, because nobody's that, except for Mashiach, the Messiah. But Shem is, which is also part of the redemption, Shem. As we said, he's the anointment of the anointed. Thus, what we have is the level of wisdom that cannot be contained by vessels. Okay, that concludes the piece I wanted to teach for tonight. We've achieved many of our goals this week of testing and guinea pigs and microphones and kids and Passovers and questions and reviews. Shem, the level of wisdom, no satiation point. Shem's Torah cannot be contained by vessels. Thus, Shem's Torah has no end. And if we're going to teach in the Academy of Shem and Aver from now on, then we should expect to find no satiation to our efforts in studying the Torah of Shem and Aver. We should never be able to point our finger and say, that is it. Because it's an infinite trek. It's an infinite endeavor. I can only hope that we've began successfully to uncover and unravel and go back to the original academies instituted by Adam and Shem and Aver, and to connect to the infinite wisdom through the Torah of Shem and Aver. I'm going to stop recording. That's all for this week. Sorry for anybody that listens to the recording. We had a lot of technical whatever, but that was the nature of this week. So that's all for this time. Rabbi Katz, NoINations.com. Great to have you this week and review. And next week we're back on target with the new vigor of new teachings. Goodbye.